Next up, from Nylas, co-founder and CEO, Michael Grinich.
All right, thanks. So before I get started, I want to ask the audience a quick survey. So I'd like you to think of your favorite app. So for a show of hands, how many people have used that app today? OK, how many people have used it 3 times today? Keep your hand up. 5 times? 10 times? All right, so a different question. How many of you have checked your email in the last 15 minutes? OK, so pretty much everyone's hands go up, right? So I think it's pretty clear that we all use email, and we use it constantly and quite heavily. But I believe there's actually something really profound about email that's been overlooked by almost everyone. And this is the story I'm going to tell you today, and this is the story of Nylas. So this started for me a few years ago. I was studying at MIT and spent some time working at Dropbox. One of my projects there was the Dropbox API platform, and that really got me thinking about the future of data. During that summer, I went to the dentist just to get my teeth cleaned, and the dentist took some x-rays. Now, when I was on my way out, I asked them for a copy of the x-rays. And I was expecting the dentist maybe to print them out or use one of these like HIPAA-compliant systems or something. But he didn't do either of those. He didn't use Dropbox. He didn't use some special system. He just emailed them to me. And that's when something clicked for me. I realized that email is the database of your life. Email is full of the most important and the most personal data out there. It's the first app that people reach for when sending things to each other. My email personally has over 10 years of history. It's the database of my life. But as I thought about this some more, something started bothering me. I looked around, and I couldn't find very many email startups. There were only a handful of people building on top of email, which seemed really strange. So I started working on my own email app, and through that process, figured out why. Turns out, building on email is hard, like really, really, really hard. It has this perfect storm of technical challenges. First, you need to integrate with this archaic system. Email was designed 30 years ago. The protocols really haven't changed since then. Second, users have a huge amount of data. So on day one, you have to scale. And third of all, as we saw earlier, most people use email constantly throughout the day. So there's this super high bar for performance. Each of these problems are individually hard, but together, they meant that only really the big companies could build great email apps. Hence, no email startups. So fortunately, I really like hard problems, and this is what I decided to fix. I pitched this idea to a few people, including some VCs, some of which I think are in the room right now. And many of them said it was impossible and, quote, would never work, which I thought was like a really good sign. So 2 years later, this is Nylas. It's the next generation email platform. Nylas makes it super easy to build email apps, and it's compatible with the existing systems like Gmail and Microsoft Exchange. It's free to get started and handles all those hard things I mentioned earlier, including abuse, security, and scaling. Nylas is a modern API platform that works with the existing systems. It's like Stripe or Twilio, but for building email apps. So what kind of apps are built on Nylas? Well, here's 3 quick examples. The first is an app for sales reps that automates about 90% of their day. It's kind of like this super tool that lets them convert more leads and close more deals throughout their day. The second is a recruiting tool that deeply integrates with email, and it shares threads across the recruiting team, so you never lose a candidate again. Pretty awesome. And the third app is for anyone. It's a virtual assistant which can take care of scheduling meetings and more. I want to stress that Nylas and these apps are powerful because they augment the things that people are already doing. This isn't some new world order. Under the hood, it's still email. I mentioned 3 examples, but it turns out the world still runs on email. And most of the email-heavy businesses out there are also the ones that have been neglected by the software community for years. They kind of have the worst tools. Nylas opens this for developers. And you don't have to just take my word for it. Ryan Hoover, who runs Product Hunt, tweeted this last year. People are searching for email apps every day. We announced Nylas less than a year ago, and this is really just the beginning. We've had a tremendous response from developers, and we really believe that email is the next great data platform. There's a massive untapped opportunity here for apps and services built on top of email. This is also my first time at the Fortune Tech Brainstorm Conference. If you're excited about email or have ideas for things you want built, please come talk to me afterward. I'd love to meet you. And of course, you can email me. So that's Nylas. I'm Michael Grinich, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from the judges.
Fantastic. Amy, let's start with you this time.
Yep, I completely agree that email is broken. I'm going to ask an unpopular question, which is how do you make money?
So we sell this as infrastructure. It's kind of like AWS. So we run servers, people build apps on top of us, and from day one, they can start building features that their users actually want instead of like scaling infrastructure and trying to solve all those problems I put up earlier.
Brad?
Feels like you and Area 1 should spend some time together to make sure that the phishing capability is enabled within this.
Yeah, we actually do like a lot of...
If I want to do a phishing attack, I can.
Absolutely, and there's stuff that we can do in terms of limiting the kind of data that developers can get access to, so we can kind of stop some of those phishing attacks early on.
Are you going to go roaming in my lifeline?
That's right.
There we are. Thank you very much.
And we take that very
no,
seriously,
I think
too.
that was good. I liked where you ended that. Fantastic.